Just 2 weeks behind Knox Johnson, he continued eastwards for another lap of the Southern Ocean to save my soul, as he put it. This is the real solo race, sailing like it's 1968.
Forcément, tous les gens qui reviendront de la Golden Gulf Race, forcément, il faut s'attendre à ce qu'ils aient changé.
It's a great story and it's the 50th anniversary, and it's a great opportunity to relive the original solo sailing when technology wasn't available, where we're just using sextants and wind-up clocks to find your position. And it's really the story of humanity and human endeavour in the extreme. So the world has never seen anything like this event.
Well, g'day everybody. Good to see you again. And it was going to be 3 Silly Solo Seniors, but now it's 3 Silly Solo Seniors and 1 Crazy Irishman. But anyway, and I'm not sure what we're going to talk about because we ran out of the list questions from last time, but we'll get straight into it. We've had some problems with getting one of them on, but first of all, I'll get our star guest appearance up here with Pat from Ireland. Hello, Pat. How are you? Can you hear me?
Excellent, Don. Thank you. I'm good. Yeah. And yourselves?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Still in Dingle, I see.
Yeah, I heard you in Dingle. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're worried? Are you worried?
It's the most western village in the whole of Europe.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You're worried about joining 3 other solo seniors because I know you're a pretty young fella, you know, so that's going to work. Oh.
I keep talking because I don't know. It's the most westerly village in the whole of Europe.
I think you've got an internet problem as well. All right, so I'll bring Mark in. I know Mark is going to have a solid connection. G'day, Mark.
Hey, g'day, Don. Hi, Pat. How you doing? Good to see you back.
I think Pat can't hear us. I think he's got a slow connection as well. Are you copying any of this, Pat? No. Okay. Well, let's try for Robin because this will make you laugh. Here comes Robin. I'll just introduce you to Robin. There's Robin. Black screen. Oop, he can't even come up. Robin's got a connection problem as well. So I'm not sure where this is going to go.
Can you hear me, Mark?
Yeah, now we can. Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Robin's just come back. Ooh, strong signal for Robin. Here we go. You must be pedaling on the machine to get it cranked up, Robin.
Yeah, something like that. It was all frozen up, just nothing, no picture, no nothing. But here we go. Good.
That happens when you get older. Things start to freeze up. Okay, yeah. So say hello to Pat.
Good. Go ahead.
We're not sure how Pat's going to go with this, and we'll try and keep it. I'll try and direct the conversation to the top right box, the bottom left box, or the bottom whatever. So we don't double up as much as we can. But anyway, so and now, Pat, quite a few people were following your little qualifier. So why don't you give us a minute or so about your fun parts, the fun part of your qualifier? Yeah, and for those that didn't know, Pat went on a tour about 2,300 miles or something. How far was it, Pat? Tell us a bit about it.
Left Dingle to sail down to the Azores and sail home without stopping. On the way down, I had all headwinds, which Irish people don't like going to windward. But anyway, we did it. But when I got there, I was going to go around the islands. They were very high and very fluky winds. But I looked at, when I got phone coverage, I looked and I saw the forecast that there was a cyclone developing. So I turned, without going around the islands, it would have taken 24 hours. So I turned and headed for the cyclone. And I found it. And I found the centre. I got right into the middle. For about 2 hours, I was in the middle of it. Must have been going with me. And so, yeah, it was fantastic. I had a good force 8 before I went into it. And then inside it, I thought sometimes you come out of a cyclone on the other side and you don't get much wind. But I actually got a lot more coming out on the south side of it.
Yeah. Okay. So you're fairly hooting along, you know, like you're making some good speeds, average speeds. So you're pretty happy with the way it all went and the way you and the boat managed everything, you know?
I can't hear you, Dan. I heard you and the boat managed. The boat came through better than I expected. Now, I got a few thumps in the side and the boat would be thrown. There was a southwesterly swell, about a 4-meter swell with the cyclone, and there was a northwesterly, very deep, slow swell coming down. So you would get thumps and water going over it. But I don't think I got much green water over it. It was just spray and that,
Yeah.
and the first few thumps, this is okay, yeah. I have been through that weather and a lot worse before, but in big fishing boats, which is totally different. Before I went into it, I was very anxious and on deck, making sure everything was okay. But actually, everything went fine. A bit of chafing on ropes. That was it.
Yeah. Okay. So so I was surprised to see a picture of one of your fishing boats that you had about 40 years ago, 30 years ago. It was a big boat, 65, 70 feet or something.
Oh, she was 126 feet, I think, the Billiga. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was
I think
that was the red one. That was the red one.
Yeah.
120 feet. Okay, that's nearly as big as my ship that I had.
Like, she was a serious boat. That's why I'd fish any weather, and her really going out in her. We didn't listen to the forecast, but it made no difference. You go fishing. I was in a depression.
How many years have you had at sea before GGR, like fishing and all that sort of stuff? Because you'd also do the timber work. How many years were you at sea?
Deep sea fishing, maybe 10 years. And lobster pot fishing, maybe another 10 years after that. And furniture in between.
Now Mark Slats is starting to get worried because he likes your boat. I know that for a fact. And you've got sea time. So that's cool. All right. You want to ask anything, Mark or Robin?
So when you headed off to the east, what was going on there, Pat?
When I headed off where, Mark?
To the east. That when I saw you on the tracker, and you seemed to a right hand, a 90-degree turn to the east and head east for a while. I wondered what you were doing.
I had to tack. It was just tacking whatever the wind was against me.
Yeah, right, it was kind of funny because just as a few people contacted me saying, "Oh, you better tell Pat there's a storm coming," and I knew you'd already know, but you did a hard right turn to the east, and I thought, "Oh, you're going to wait for it to go." And so I put a post up and said, "Oh, he's onto it," But then I thought, "Oh, he's probably asleep," wind change, Aries vein. Anyway, so what did you learn? What did you learn, Pat, about you and the boat?
The main thing I learned is the boat is very comfortable and dry inside, because you never know until you go through that kind of weather. I had one or two little issues inside, and outside I couldn't believe how well it handled. But I'm going to change stuff on it, all right. I don't trust the lifelines. I'm going to put new lifelines on. If you are going on deck and change the system, maybe things like that, I have to sort out the furlers. The ropes and the furlers are inclined to, on the jib was inclined to chafe. And if it chafed and opened, you'll be in trouble. Yeah.
I remember Jean-Luc.
I expected more major problems, but no.
Yeah, okay. I remember Jean-Luc before the last race did one whole 2-week session on his boat, sailing at sea, at the ocean. And then I said, "What's that trip about, Jean-Luc?" Because he'd done a lot, and he did the whole voyage just to sort out chafe on the boat. He went through and just watching everything, checking everything. It was one of his last, was just to go through the whole chafe deal. So kind of interesting. So anything dramatic you're going to change already? Like any major discovery besides chafe?
I think I'll take off the second inner forestay I put on. I think I'll take that off and put on 2 furlers. The sails will be interchangeable, because at night, you see, racing isn't my thing. I'm out of my league a bit with that. But at night, you'd be lazy to go up on deck and change a hank on sail. Whereas a furler, you can drop it out. And the boat goes better. It's designed for Yankees, not for Genoas. And it goes, but I'd like a Genoa for downwind and reaching, maybe a jib top more than a Genoa. And you have a better choice, I think, with the 2 furlers.
Yeah. So did you flash up your fire down below?
No, it was hot.
It was hot. How much wood are you going to take for the Southern Ocean?
2 small bags, I'd say, would do you.
Okay. You'll have to write a post on that and just tell us how much, do the calculations and how much you can get from using a piece of wood so big. I think everyone will be fascinated. But anyway, very similar to the Vendée Globe. They're really into that sort of thing as well. Anyway, well, that's good. And what were you eating? Like, did you experiment with anything on food? I suppose you could keep the freezer going.
I brought canned food. I didn't bring fresh food on purpose to get used to it. And the canned food I didn't like. It was like dog food. Okay. But I had some food, and I preferred pasta to rice. I didn't bring potatoes, and I just brought dry food, and it was interesting and learning, and rice pudding and stuff like that. I baked bread. Bread was lovely, and I made pancakes and flatbread and bread. I have an oven that's a pot, sits on top. People in Gibraltar that have the same boat as me sent it up to me. It's fantastic.
Okay.
So I couldn't bread and but the tinned dog food, I call it, that's out of the question.
So what was in the tins? Not bully beef.
Corned beef and salami kind of stuff. No, it's fine. It's protein. It's good, and I was glad to have it, but I think I'll try for better.
Nothing wrong with corned beef, but anyway, that's another story. I've got some in the pantry here. So, okay, just one last question, then we'll do a general thing with everything. But I know you didn't necessarily get the DTs while you were away for 2 weeks, but did you do any timber carving while you were out there?
No, and I didn't do any painting. I was going to bring. I do art. I was going to bring my paints, but I didn't do that either. That's what I read a few books.
What books? What books did you read?
I read Across 3 Oceans by Conor O'Brien, the first man to sail around the world via the 3 Capes. He's from just up in Limerick, Fines Island on the River Shannon. And I read a fantastic book. What is it? The Year the Tourists Never Came to Dingle. Small little book. That was the best book. And I was reading Robert Knox Johnson. What was the free? What is it?
Yeah.
I didn't finish. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously you had a good time, but did you psych up at all? Like visualize the fact that, hey, this is cool. This is what it's going to be like, or was it just a trip?
It was psyched up. Yeah, it was. You would be anxious before you hit the cyclone to make sure everything is all right, and then you would be a bit excited when things went so well, that kind of way, and delighted, happy out, and so it was a great trip. It was really good. I'd been to the Azores before with my father about 15 years ago, so I had been on the islands, and so it was nice just to go down and have that memory of being there with him.
Okay. Well, a few people here. Yvonne's saying, well done, Pat. And Stephen Eddy's there. Why am I not surprised? Mike is there. Martin Tennant, well done, Pat. And Gurav, great stuff. That's good to be part of it. That is the good part of being Indian. We really have good packed food that lasts for years. Okay. Plenty of curry. All right. So that's cool. So what are we going to talk about, gentlemen? We ran out of our list last week. So you're in this conversation too, Pat. We're going to talk about all sorts of silly stuff or crazy things. But anyway, one of them that we didn't speak about was environmental issues, because we have an environmental management plan that you went through last time, Mark. Like we actually ask all the entrants to calculate approximately how much rubbish they're going to have, glass containers, tins, plastic, do a calculation, work out where they're going to store it on the boat. And how they're going to store it, minimizing the packaging before they get off, and pack the boat, all those sorts of things. So entrants have to give us a management plan, and then we weigh it when they get back and then recycle it. But there's a couple of new challenges, because now for the next race, we're not allowing single-use plastics of any kind, and that means you can't have food in plastic, right? So we'll be monitoring that very carefully. So it's tins, glass, and foil, and so on. But we want to try and, if we can, get away from just automatic plastic containers of everything. And we'll review that, because I know it's going to be a challenge. And the race village will also be a bit more environmentally friendly. But what I will say there is that the French are already onto that. The regulations now for anything in France, in another 2 years, a lot of that comes into force, so it's natural. But what are you planning to do different this time, Mark, that you did last time, if anything?
Well, I didn't use any single-use plastic anyway last time, and I had no sort of bottled water or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty well managed. Look, you do get. I guess the problem is the plastic packaging of even like dehydrated food comes in a packet of some description, and in general, sort of that's plastic.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a problem because that's packaging that stuff comes in, and Ziploc bags and those types of things are fine because you reuse them. I'm still reusing stuff on the last time.
Yeah.
Tins and stuff aren't such a problem. Crush them down, and I didn't really have any aluminium tins. Really, it was all. Well, I don't know. Some of them might have been, but they all crushed down anyway.
Yeah, they'll recycle when you get back. They're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the problem will be, things like packaged food, even dehydrated packaged food, and that type of stuff. And some of it's like a foil pack, but some of it's probably got plastic in it as well.
Yeah, the way we'll tackle that is that we'll, when people put their management plan in, they'll explain, I've got some single-use plastic here. These are the reasons why we've got it. So in other words, they've thought about it, and if they can't get by without it, well, okay, we'll consider that. We're not likely to say, no, you can't have that food, but we want everyone to think about it. What about you, Robin? What are you going to do? Just take tins or glass or just what?
No, most of my stuff is in packets. It's dehydrated, or it's I carry a lot of nuts and trail mixes and things like that I make up myself into Ziploc bags. So we'll have to look at the rules on this.
Yeah. Well, as I say, that's what we say, no single-use plastic, and we really ask people to think about it. But at the end of the day, you can put a clause in there that's not a clause, but in your waste management plan, if you want to use a piece of single-use plastic, you've got to justify it. You know what I mean? Like say, I want that because it's really good food and I like it. There's no suitable substitute, so therefore we have an argument as to why. Well, okay, that's fair enough. You can use it.
Well, I mean, the immediate obvious use for a Ziploc bag is to put your toilet roll in, because there's nothing worse than trying to sail around the world with a wet bog roll, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what do you do, Pat?
What works, I think, fairly well, I was thinking of Tetra Packs. The milk comes in it. The Tetra Packs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, some of it is wax paper and some has foil inside. So if you stay away from the foil inside and put all your food into Tetra Packs, and then I can burn it when I'm finished with it as paper.
Yeah.
Keep it warm.
Yeah. So okay, just on I know we talked about food before, but what are you going to do, Pat, to stay healthy? You can't survive on tin food, like as in healthy, as in what are you going to do to make sure you got the right food? How are you going to tackle that?
I have advice got from someone, but only general advice. But what I did the last time, I brought the tin food and that, but I also brought, those vitamin drinks tablets you put into things, and I put one of those into a half-liter water, and about over 2 days I drink it. So I don't know. I reckon I was getting fairly good vitamins. I had 2 or 3 different types of them. I had 3 different types, and I'd pick a different one each time. So but it was only 3 weeks. So but I will go through it with other people.
Yeah, what are you going to do, Robin?
Oh,
stay healthy.
I do vitamins and those effervescents. I put them in water, but I'll have a couple of every time I have a drink of water, I'll probably have a multivitamin or a vitamin C or something like that. So I do a fair bit of that, and multivitamin pills and cod liver oil and things like that. So vitamin D and so on. So, but apart from that, my main meals, might not freeze dehydrated. They're a pretty good balance. I mean, nuts are pretty good for you. Trail mixes. I've peanuts. I've got quite a good selection of different things that I bag up into like about 200 calorie units, and that makes for a decent serving of anything.
Yeah, too true. What about you, Mark?
Oh, look, the thing that lasted best for me last time, and I didn't have enough of, were lemons. And
before.
I was eating them like an orange, but I just could have had, lots more than I have. So a box of lemons and distribute them around the place, and probably some green ones that take a while to ripen up.
That's a lime.
Limey. Yeah, that's where it comes from.
With my tonic and gin.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to throw a wild card one in here because I know you've had a bit of it, Mark, and but not a lot. And Robin, you've had truckloads of it. Sponsors, and I know Pat's looking for sponsors now. But Robin, tell me your sponsor stories. How you got them, how difficult it was, some of the things that you had to do to satisfy sponsors, all that sort of stuff. Give us a sponsor story, Mark. Robin.
I don't think I have any good sponsor stories. They've always been monsters. They've always been monster struggles. I've never had a proper main sponsor. I've had lots and lots of people and quite a number of companies and so on that have contributed and helped and made it possible. And without them, it would never have been possible. But I've never had a mainline sponsor. I could do with one, probably just like everybody else who's in the race at the moment. But
so what do you think it was? Why didn't you get? And I'm the same. Oh no, I did pretty well at the last half of the BOC. But anyway, why don't you think you got a big sponsor?
Because I obviously never, not obviously, but because I never went to the right people in the right way. I'm not a marketing person. That's marketing is definitely a mindset in its own right. I think I just didn't ask the right people in the right way, or for whatever whatever the reasons are. I can't explain it because I always thought I was going to get sponsors. I did lots of writing and looking and phoning and talking and so on, but it was always a struggle.
I think what you're saying is there's a huge element of luck and being at the right place at the right time and knowing the right people, because there really is. There's two things that I've seen that stand out. One is you'll only get in my mind, you have a hugely increased chance of getting a sponsor when you're going, and you're actually there and they'll join you. And the other one is if you get some personal connections, it's a lot easier. People, it's good to find those connections somehow that you can work with. But the times are changing now. So you're, Robin, I'll just finish on one last one with you on this one. You're still out looking for sponsors, like you're trying to network and trying to see what's available and so on, or you're just going to go?
No, I'm just going to, figure it out as I go. At the moment, in the last year or 6 or 8 months, I may well do a little looking, but I'm not sure that one's really going to get anywhere unless one's got an actual in, i.e. someone. Quite a lot of it can then boil down to it's not what you know but who you know. But we'll see, and somehow we'll finagle a way to get to the start.
Yeah, I'm just looking at comments here, and I got a laugh. We had people in the last race for the GGR. One guy that didn't make it in the race was after €450,000 to do the GGR. And Pat, what's your budget to put your whole boat together and your campaign for the GGR?
120, I hope. It might go over
£120,000.
Euros.
120,000. That's to buy your boat, equip it, pay entry fees, all your safety gear, all your food, everything, and go and come home, and you still own the boat at the end.
Yeah. Now, it probably will run over budget, but I have a target, and that's my target.
No. That's a sensible target. €120,000. That's $200,000. Anyone that you can do a very good job of that. You can also spend a lot of money. I know that as well, but the sponsorship, in my opinion, has to fit the storyline. And if If you're a guru, you might be able to, organise some big stuff. But I get asked all the time, how much should I ask for, and how am I going to get sponsors? And I immediately say it's got to do with you, not the event. Forget the event. You will never get a sponsor by joining and entering the GGR. You will get a sponsor because you're a good story, you've got a good angle, you're a really good talent, and you're serious about doing the race and so on. That's what it's all about. Like, I see a lot of people, they join the GGR or they think about joining the GGR because they think just by entering they may get a sponsor, and it doesn't work that way. You've got to really grab it. Tell us your story, Mark, with Fugaro.
Yeah, look, I was very fortunate that I was sponsored by my work, and which made it really easy. And I took time off from work, so I covered myself that way. And they picked up the sponsorship fee, which then provided an entrant to other sponsors who could provide small amounts of sponsorship because the sponsorship fee was paid. But look, to be honest, I was lucky to get that, and I'm very appreciative of it. But I was, when I was watching people in the first race and the effort going into getting sponsorship and whatever, and just recalling on the original race where people similarly were trying to get sponsorship.
Absolutely.
So Robin ended up going in the boat that he had himself.
Yep.
So he got one design, but he went up with what he had. Donald obviously was a sponsorship nightmare, created a problem for him. Others went in boats that were provided by people that were not very suitable. So I think there's good and there's bad parts of sponsorship. I was very, very lucky. On the next one, because the most important thing about the GGR is don't do it once. It's very expensive. You do it twice, the second time round, a lot easier. So
don't forget 2026, Mark. I know we've thought about it before, but
well, that's right. It's an asymptote. Pretty soon it will cost me nothing. So, so there are certain things, but I sort of quite like going in the boat that you have, and obviously you've got to get a boat that's suitable, and you might not have had a boat that's suitable. But I got Coconut because it was here in Adelaide, and it was hard to get boats in Australia. And I thought, how am I going to physically prepare a boat in Australia to race in Europe? I thought, I just physically can't do it. It's not practical. And a boat was for sale right here. So, look, I think if you can get it, it's great. If you can get something close to home, like work, it's fantastic. I guess this time round, I sort of might go Corinthian. I'm not actively seeking sponsorship. If my work sponsors me again, that would be fantastic. But the problem is that commercially in these days at the moment, cash is pretty tight. People haven't got lazy money to support it. But having the boat and having it set up, and obviously there's a life expectancy on a lot of the safety gear and whatever. So there's going to be some expenditure, but not so much second time round. So
yeah, too true. So Pat, what are you doing to find a sponsor now? If you're happy to talk about it, if you don't want to talk about it,
I have offers from a lot of small sponsors to buy stuff for me, so that's great. But I have a couple of big sponsors in mind.
How are you doing it? You produced a document. You have someone helping you, or what?
I have one person helping me, all right, yeah. But I haven't done any major work about it. It's in my mind and in his mind and a bit on paper. So you just really need to, because I'm a low budget and because I'm going to hold raffles, I'm getting the prizes for free. People are just donating prizes to me. So if I hold the raffle, and once my prize money in the raffle is below 5,000, there's no problem. I can hold them. So if I make money out of them, I don't need much money then from the sponsors.
Yeah, there's another thing there too, Pat. There's a right time and there's a wrong time to look for sponsors. And what I would say, and I'm not an expert at this, and I'm a bit like Robert, I've never really cracked the big time, but we've got some good ones. There's a right time and a wrong time. And the way I see what you're doing, Pat, is really good. You're getting all the elements. You're starting to build your social media profile. You're starting to get some runs on the board. You've got things you can talk about. You look good. You've got a story as a character and all that sort of stuff. So you're now rolling into the stage where you're just about ready to be able to talk to sponsors, and that's an important part too. Because if you go in too early, it just doesn't work. You only get one shot at each sponsor, so you can't start too early. And that's one of the things I just pull my hair out by the roots about this crowdfunding. Everyone thinks crowdfunding is going to make you $1 million, and I just tell everyone. I just say, do not do crowdfunding. There is and try and stop them, but they never do. They go, got it, and it becomes embarrassing, and it makes you look really bad because you say you want $150,000 and you're going to get $3,000 because you went too early. If you wait until towards the end, when you've got 4,000 people social media following you, and they like what you're doing, and so on, and you've got other things happening, and all of a sudden, then you say, "Hey, look, I'm a year out from the race. I need some extra things to better it. I want to try and raise 80 grand or 100 grand or whatever. Watch what happens." But unless you've got that level, you're way too early. You can't just put it up and expect people to pour money in. It just never works. But people have got this vision about crowdfunding, and it's really you only get one chance. You've got to do it at the right time. And we had some in the GGR that earned a lot of money from crowdfunding last edition, but they did it right. They didn't just start it until about 7 months, 8 months before or 9 months before the start of the race. So anyway, interesting. Anything else anyone would like to say about sponsorship?
I've got to say that the yacht club was very generous as well. So
that's the Royal South Australian Yacht Club.
Yeah,
yacht sponsor. Yeah.
So the foundation sponsored me, and I also got help with the slipping and this and that and the other. So I think the issue with sponsorship is if you can get a sponsor to get you over the line with the sponsorship fee, then that enables smaller sponsors. $1,000 here and there goes a long way when you're tight for money, and helps cover things. So that was really great.
Yeah, absolutely. When you get the first one, you get another one, you get the second one, and you never tell them who was putting in what. You start to get some brands behind you, and people take notice then. So, but anyway, anything you want to say, Pat, about sponsors before we change the subject?
Me, is it?
Yeah. Anything you want to say about sponsors besides give me the money?
Well, actually, I don't know just the Irish, but I have had a lot of offers of small sponsorship and good offers, genuine offers. Some came in before the pandemic, and I didn't go near them then because I thought like they wouldn't be able to. But they came back to me and said, "Look, I said I'd give it to you, I will," and so that's great. Locally, mainly, and that's without looking for it. So, but I'm the only Irish entry which will help me. I think.
Yeah. So, we all know how crazy the Irish are. And we know that they're all around the world. So, stand by. I'm confident we'll see you with it.
I have an Australian person who's going to sponsor me. Well, he's Irish, living in Australia. So I have an Australian sponsor got already.
Okay. Yep. Sounds cool. All right. So we've gone. One thing I'll say about the virus and sponsors that we're detecting, and I'm hearing other people in the industry talk about it as well, and even governments and all sorts. The one thing they are doing is a lot of people now are starting, the businesses and so on, are starting to think about planning forward planning into the next stage of the world. The world's changed. It'll never go back to being the same. They've not got a lot of money, but they all know they've got to do something to rebrand or reorganize or do something. And all of that planning is for about a year to 2 years out. And they're at that stage now where they're working out what to do. So I always say there's never a bad time to look for sponsors. They're always spending money on marketing. You've got to justify your own existence, think of your own angle and all that sort of stuff. But it's not the virus fault if you don't find a sponsor. It's just bad luck or no connections or whatever it is. But as much as the pandemic is there, I'm a firm believer there's still people out there that are going to join the club. And those that might have once upon a time decided to sponsor an Amoka in the Bondi, now they might think about sponsoring you, Pat, because they've got lower budgets. Anyway, enough of that. All right, so let's talk about environment. We've done that. Cameras, videos, and getting media off the boat. Now, I thought because there's the four of us here, we'll forget about the rules of the GGR, okay? that you had to use film cameras and you can have video cameras and so on. Let's just wipe the slate. And I just want to get an opinion. If there was no restrictions at all on satellite gear and video recorders and sending things out, and we've spoken about this before, but I just want to go through another opinion. What would be your ultimate camera setup and media output from your boat, Robin? What would you like to do to achieve the GGR? And would you like to do nothing? You have carrier pigeons with notes on their legs, or would you go balls to the wall?
No pigeons. But the easy answer would be to say to do nothing, and I would just go back to kind of what I did in the 90s. You have a couple of waterproof cameras and so on, and you just take some stuff and as and when you feel like it. No rules that you've got to take so much stuff or this much stuff, or you just take some stuff and that's it.
Yeah, just do your own thing. Yeah, it makes sense. I know exactly where you're coming from. Pat, what would you like to do?
For example, I wouldn't want to be tied down to having to produce 1 minute of video to send via a satellite link every single day or whatever. But whenever I felt like doing it, great, we'll do it. And I'll probably end up doing it more than most people.
Okay.
But I don't like being tied down to having to do things.
Okay, so just extending on that. So if you had no mandatory schedule and no fines for not delivering, does that mean you would still like to put on a couple of digital video cameras and have a satellite feed that can drop it out back to race headquarters when you feel like it?
I could do that because, there's, yes, it doesn't disinterest me. I haven't got no interest in doing it. And I know how much video I've taken in the previous races, which is quite a lot. So I certainly don't mind doing it, and enjoy doing it. But there's a big difference between it being an absolute, rule obligation to do X, Y, Z, and A, B, and C, and having the option to do it as and when you feel like it. Without it, it's almost a bit like, sending in the 4 tweets a day, or 3 tweets a day, or whatever. I know you've only got to do one. But yeah. I'd rather just send a tweet when I've got something to tweet about.
Yeah. Well, that's partly safety as well. But anyway, Gurav just said, he'd go crazy with TikTok. But I had a good discussion with Jane yesterday, and she said, no way you should touch TikTok because it's part of the espionage, So Jane won't let me use TikTok in GGR. No way. Anyway, so what would you like to do, Pat?
Oh, I don't know. It's kind of new to me, but I know coming up, I sailed down to the Azores and coming up, I took a lot of footage. I actually stopped using the sextant for a few days because I had no sun. And then when the sun was there, I didn't want to bring the sextant out into the salty weather. I didn't need to. And so I took a lot of footage and I enjoyed it. You go out on deck and you get, I looked at it all last night and I reproduced, a lot of it, it was the same stuff over again. So, and that's like, but you figured out from looking at it what works. But looking at the Volvo race last time and the footage from the drones was spectacular. I'd love to be able to use the drones as well. But about sending it back, send it back, like Robin says, at your own time, so that when you get a chance, you can do it. You're not under pressure to meet a deadline would suit me.
Okay, so okay, that's one thing. There is filming. The other thing then is getting it off the boat. Obviously, we have the film drops in Madeira, Canaries, wherever, and Cape Town and Hobart. But would you want to also try and get it off the boat back to race control when you feel like it?
Yeah, that'd be nice. It'd be nice for your sponsors, and that. So yeah, that'd be good if you could. But I'm not great sometimes on tech stuff. I have to go through it slowly. But yeah, I have no problem if we could send it away.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So where are you
No,
at, Mark?
I think the problem, it's not a problem, it's just a mindset is, do we really want all this electronics on board that's going to allow us to do this? Do we want to have satellite terminals or, if you're going to send it back, you're probably going to have some computing power to make it happen on the boat. So do you want all this stuff? How much of all this stuff is going to stay dry and functional and working throughout the whole voyage?
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. No, that's the second part of the round of questions, because once you have the wish list of what you might want, then you've got to maintain it. You've got to, But but you're quite right, Robin. That's a big challenge. The gear now is getting outstanding. It's every possibility that if we wanted to, in 22, you could literally take an iPhone with you and get on Skype and send a Skype message back. It probably not quite there, but it's just about getting like that within the next few years. So everything's changing.
Getting closer and closer.
Yeah. So, Mark, where are you at with this? What would be your take?
Yeah, look, I think it's quite a special event because you are sort of dropping off grid, and I think the little tweets we do on our yellow brick don't really spoil that, because it's just like 60 text characters and it's just checking in, and also I don't think the weekly or bi-weekly safety calls violated either, because it's just a soundbite. I think the danger is if you bring video and video streaming, it will then undermine that other stuff, and so you'll actually, you'll change the event. To be honest, I'm sailing over, and I'm actually thinking of turning the tracker off and disappearing like Sir Robin did, and popping up in the North Atlantic 4 months later. If I need to activate an EPIRB, I activate an EPIRB. But why do I want my arse scratched every inch of the way? And to do that will create a different type of its event, and people will be thinking, and the fact of not being in contact so often and whatever will become an interesting thing. Like all the talk about Robin, where was he, blah, blah, blah. When he re-emerged, it just created more interesting than if you had him on sat image every day. You wouldn't have had that. So, but on the race, I really enjoyed, but putting the little camera up with the little legs and clamping it around something. What I tended to find was that you get into a routine of doing it or not doing it, and then you find you haven't done it for 4 weeks, and you feel guilty and you do it. But it's actually better, I reckon, to set it up and just leave it running, you might do an astro site or something, and it might just run for half an hour, and you'll go, well, good luck, Jesse, you can sort through that. But in some ways, rather than do little things, set it up for half an hour and cook a meal or sit in the cockpit or do stuff, and then create the footage like that. But that's all file footage that, then we hand over, when we land it. But I think the real time stuff, I think keep it away, because I think it'd change the nature, and because it would make it more like Vendée, and it would make it more like everything else. And the whole thing is, we are not like that. And the odd tweet and the satellite phone just reminds people that we're remote. But you add any more, and then we're not remote anymore. You've then got people,
It wouldn't be a Golden Globe race. It'd be a Vendée race in slow boats. So.
And then what's the point? What are you doing that for?
Exactly. One of the big things is, where is the real simplicity in this? And, all we're going to do is end up just loading the boats up with more and more and more stuff. And our time, if you're going to start having to do a load of editing, or, editing takes time. you could say, well, it's one of the tasks to do every day, but it would totally change the whole aspect of the isolation of the race. You know, you're there to sail a boat, not take film.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so it's an interesting one. We're coming full circle here, which is exactly where I knew it would get to, because it's exactly what I'm passionate about, and it's exactly what we'll protect with our everything we've got to maintain that aspect of what makes the GGR. And sure, it creates some issues, but wow, look what happened last time. You know, we do the 2018 GGR, very low budgets, fantastic support from the Saab Delone and all of the, you know, all the things they gave us to help manage the race, but no big sponsors. And part of that possibly may have been that we didn't get, you know, we weren't doing live like the Bondi and stuff. But we got 185 million US dollars worth of equivalent advertising media coverage. And we said to our sponsors at the beginning of the race, look, you give us some money and we'll give you 220 million US dollars worth of coverage. So we nearly achieved the same things without the sponsors because of the fact that we're completely different and we are going over the horizon. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm not convinced about it. And every time Jane and I talk about, Jane's adamant about this, said, nah, you start putting too much material out and people will get bored, they won't read it. And that's right. And I've had so many media journalists and stuff talk about this. They say when they see other events pouring out these reams of stuff, half of them switch off after the first month or so. And I'm the same. I follow them all. I get all the emails, you know, on the media files and so on. And you're just waiting for the highlights. You don't follow all that stuff. So the reality will be that first of all, we are changing, as you know. We'll be doing the weekly satellite phone call, the same as we had before. You must do 1 tweet a day. That's mainly for safety, and you can do up to 4. Remember the ones we did around Cape Horn, where everyone that went around Cape Horn, a week or so later, we did a half an hour live where followers got to ask questions, and it was just using the sat phone for half an hour. We're going to do that once a month, okay, because they were quite successful, and I think that will be well received for every entrant. You know, we do once a month a half hour live where they can ask questions, and we're confident we will have the ability for you guys to send 1 photo out, right? Just a photo. So in other words, you'll take a photo, it'll go direct Wi-Fi from your camera into the little black box, and it'll come back to race control, and then we can decide what we want to do with it. So once a week, it won't be compulsory, but we say a maximum once a week. And if there's a story on, you see a spaceship land on the foredeck, 3 little green women pop out of that spaceship, that's a story. You take their photo, you can take 10 photos and send it to us, you know, and we'll get that out around the world, and everyone will want to marry the little green women, you know. So that's what we're planning. So how do you feel about that, Roman? Not the green women, not the green women, you know.
Hey, it's going to be what it is. You know, I could do without any or all of it, you know, and you know, I absolutely, truly don't believe we need to be, you know, communicating the whole time. Whether it's a week, you know, you start adding up all these weeklies and monthlies, and that's lots and lots of contact. And it's a very big difference between going, you know, 4 months after you leave Tasmania and not talking to a soul other than on your SSB, probably the other competitors, you know, kind of thing. You know, I think it can run away. There'll always be a good reason to have, well, we'll have another call once a week or once a month, and it's fine, you know. I mean, I'm certainly happy to talk for a half an hour after I go around Cape Horn. I'm touching wood that I'll actually get to Cape Horn and get round it, you know. So yeah, no, it'll be my pleasure without a single doubt. But you know, we can just be on the air, or in, you know, doing phone calls or tweets, or, you know, sending photos. It just becomes more and more and more and more stuff that detracts from the original, you know, race.
Yeah, well, the way it'll work is the daily tweet is part of safety, so that's compulsory. The weekly phone call, you know, the 15-minute phone call, that's compulsory. The rest of it's all voluntary. And those that want to use the cameras and film stuff, they'll be into the film drops. We'll have the film drops on the spot, so that goes out. How do you think about that, Pat?
Yeah, that's all good. I think sending it out through satellite would be a hassle for me anyway. Technical stuff I'm not good at. And you would have enough to do some days not to be bothered trying to organise that. So I think film drop would be personally better, and probably the race better.
There's another thing here too, which I often tell people that they sometimes don't understand this, but the whole world today is all about screens. I mean, we're on a screen now, okay? And you're on your screens on your iPhone and TV, everything. And with a screen, it goes straight from your eyes into your brain, okay? That's how it works. You go boom. It's part of the instant gratification thing. But, when we don't hear from the GGR sailors over the horizon and you just get the sound clouds, the phone conversations and the tweets, what happens is, and then the reports that we do on the map every day, showing the weather and the tracker and where everyone is, people have got to actually do something that's completely unnatural these days. They've got to use their imagination, right? They've got to use their imagination. They've got to shut their eyes because there's no screen, right? They've got to listen to these voices, listen to the wind outside, and listen to the stories that are being told about you guys out in your boats. They've got to shut their eyes and they've got to imagine it, and that brings emotion, and it goes through their body. And it goes all the way through their body, and then it gets to their brain. And that's one of the key elements to why I'm a firm believer that the GGR, in terms of inspiring people and getting them to follow the race, really works, because you are over the horizon and we're not doing all the live stuff. So anyway, all very interesting. Boy, we've been talking for a while.
I hadn't set up my YB tracker properly, so I couldn't message. I didn't program into things right anyway. And it probably worked out more interesting because people didn't know where or what I was doing. I couldn't say.
Right. I rang your wife, or no, we contacted your wife, or sent a message, and I said, "Hey, are you on the phone? Like you're getting the weather reports and stuff." She said, "Oh, I know you've gone out on his own," and I had a bit of a smile. I thought, "Oh, that's cool. I like that. It's kind of nice to be out of touch." So we don't have any plans at all ever to do live video off the boat and all that sort of stuff. That'll never happen. Yeah, because it's the essence of what the GGR is. And we'll have plenty of people, you got to do it, blah, 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 blah. So sorry, that's not the GGR. Okay, so what have we got here? Okay, let's talk about weight. Not my weight with the pandemic and what I've been eating. Because I know, Captain Coconut, when I get on your boat, you've got a solid stainless steel rail and you've got truckloads of gear everywhere. And Jean-Luc is like throwing off everything that he doesn't need. However, I mean, he took more water than anyone when he started. So there's a balance. So what's your attitude on weight for the GGR, Mark?
Well, I think every boat's different and every sailor's different. And Sir Robin took plenty of gear, and Matessia went really light. From my point of view, Coconut's quite a small boat, but the most important thing to my mind was I put a solid rail around it at 80 centimetres to keep me on board. So, and that was important to me, and damn the weight. So look, I think it depends. I ran out of water, so obviously having another 100 kilos worth of water would have been really good value. But I came in with a full tank of fuel, so that didn't. So I think the right weight, and I think it depends on your philosophy and whatever, and what you're trying to achieve. And I don't think it's the same answer for everyone. And I think the circumstances will dictate who made the right decision. Look, Jean-Luc is a master of this. He's been around many times, and I think he did it very professionally and very well. From my point of view, the GGR 2018 GGR was a nice little 157-day warm-up sail. And now I know what it's all about.
So then you put the supercharger on, Get a bit of a blast in there. Yep. Okay. So what's your take, Robin?
Well, I mean, obviously, on the one hand, you don't want to have too much weight on the boat, but having said that, when you look at what I've done to my cabin top and hatchway side deck mountings for my winches and so on. You know, on the one hand, you know, I've done what most people have done, and that's take out unnecessary weight from in the boat. But I've probably put it all back on again by, you know, my you know, doghouse structure and so on. I think it's very important that you've got strength in your boat. So there's a lot of gallons of resin went into beefing up my chain plate webs and the whole deck join. You know, we did a massive epoxy job all the way around the whole deck join inside the boat from the bow to the stern. There's a lot of weight of glass, you know, so we've taken some out, we've added a lot in. I think it probably all balances out at the end of the day. You know, how much room have you got? How much stuff? I mean, I do think you've got to pare down what you've got on board to what I think you've got to recognize what you need as opposed to what you want to carry. Probably the bulkiest thing will, you know, on my boat will end up being all the cassette tapes. I've got boxes and boxes of cassette tapes, and even those weigh quite a lot when you take, you know, a lot of tapes. So, but, you know, food wise, you've got to carry the food. Water is terrifically important. And, you know, that I think is going to be that's one of the biggest weight deciding factors. Jean-Luc was certainly right to take extra water and, you know, so on. So yeah, I'll have quite a lot of water on board.
Yeah. Sounds cool. And Pat, because your boat gives the impression it's quite light. When you're inside, it's very voluminous and it just seems like it's going to carry the weight really well.
I picked the boat because she has a cargo carrying capacity, I think. Like I looked at some other boats that had a longer, narrower boat that you wouldn't be able to. So I will be able to carry a bit more weight, I think, in relation to some other boats. But yeah, I'm trying to. I think the boat is about survival and arrival. You've got to arrive, and if you arrive back, then you have a chance of doing well. Like
you can take a few more bags of wood. A few more bags of wood. Yeah. I'm going through the same thing with my new boat, my little mini. I've worked out I've wasted already about 50 kilos on the boat because I'm putting EVA foam on the deck, you know, which is really good because I'll be crawling around on hands and knees and all these things, and other people will be shocked. They say, "What? Why do you put that on there?" You know, but that's just what I need to do. You know, it'll make me go faster. So anyway, yeah, all cool. All right. Well, that's been kind of.
So the deal is with the mini Don. Are you going to lose weight so you've got less on the boat, or are you going to maintain weight so you've got good ballast to move around with and use during the race?
I haven't been flying for about 8 years or something, but when I was flying ultralights, you really did worry about that. You know, if I was 10 kilos overweight, geez, that's huge when in the cockpit and what you want to carry and stuff in on expedition. But now it's a case you eat what you eat. You got to make sure you fit in the hatch, you know, because I've got a hatch that big. But yeah, I mean, I'll fess up. I weighed myself yesterday for the first time. No, it was on Saturday night. We were having dinner with Mark and Matthew. Matthew Wright and Captain Coconut and I and Jane. We had a big dinner on Sunday night around at his place. It was a lot of fun. And I said, Matthew, have you got some scales? And he said, yes, because I haven't weighed myself since January. And I thought I put on about 6 kilo. I'm not going to tell you what I put on, but I was shocked. So anyway, that's another story. All right. So I'm gonna wrap this up on that big note, you know, and we'll this could be the end of the Silly Solo Seniors, but I don't think so. I think these are kind of cool. But we're going to have entrants again starting next week, and every time we've got a hole, we'll pull in the Silly Seniors and maybe a special guest and see what happens. So as our special guest, Pat, thank you for coming along. I look forward to seeing the video off your look forward to seeing.
One thing before I go about the pads are the next time I go sailing, I will bring knee pads like tradesmen use. Not so much around in your knees, but you actually use your knees and your elbows for support when the boat is at 30 degrees all the time tacking down. Yeah. And you're inclined to bring them up to it would just a comfortable thing. So rather than put the heavy stuff on the deck, just get knee pads.
I only got a little deck, you know. But anyway, that's another story. I only needed 4 sheets, but anyway, yeah. Okay, all right, Pat. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. And it was your daughter that I spoke to, not your wife. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's another story. Okay, I'm going to get rid of you, Pat. See you later.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Anything you want to say to wrap up, Robin?
No, I'll just see you all next time, whenever next time is.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again for sure. We'll get rolling with the entrance again, and then we'll drop in the 3 silly seniors, and every now and then we'll have a special guest. So thanks, Robin. We'll see you again shortly. Good luck there, eh? Stay healthy. Dodge the virus, eh?
Yeah, cheers, Mark. Cheers, Don. Cheers, Jane. See you all soon. Bye.
Okay, see ya.
Cheers, Robin.
See ya. So what have we got to wrap up with, Mark?
Oh, look, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Look, it's funny, isn't it? You think about the previous race, and you forget some of the things of why you did certain things or how you felt, but you ask a direct question about it, and it takes you right back there, and you can go, well, yeah, it was like this.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things about the last race is that I think I'm right to say that all the people that finished sailed around the world before, and I think knowing what you're getting into is quite a big thing. And certainly, I'd had a fair bit of experience, but I hadn't had 157 days, and now having got that, it puts it in context. So with respect to weight and this and that and the other, but like a lot of the things I've got in coconut, I wouldn't change. The solid rail, the hanging knees, the old engine, blah blah blah. And it's finessing. The food, the water, the anti-foul. I need to finesse that.
Oh, we discussed that the other night. Yeah.
But other than that, steady as she goes, and we'll give it another crack.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, thanks for that. We'll do it again, and I'm not sure when, but sometime soon we'll get back into entrance then, and we'll say goodbye. And I'll see you soon, probably, because I'm still in Adelaide.
Yeah. Cheers, Dom.
Okay.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks.
Bye,
Thanks, mate. See you later.
Bye.
Okay, so that's it for this week, and we'll next week. I forget who we've got next week, but it'll be back to GGR entrance again. It's Gurav. Oh, jeepers! Do we really have to talk to him? We do. Okay. He's complaining because I got the wrong shirt on, but it's all part of the family. We've now got OGR, GGR, and MGR. Okay. I think we're the only people in the world with 3 around the world races, but there you go. Okay. Thanks for that. I'll bugger off. See you. Bye bye.